Well, hello, good evening, and welcome, good people of the internet. Sunday again, and that means that we're doing some sim racing again. Because why not? Even taking the day off work for this. Because why not? Anyway, head over then and get started, I suppose. So, we are here being Goodwood, and it's 1958 and we're running the Glover Trophy. So while the server just resets for the race, never mind. So yes, Goodwood, 1958. This would have been a non-championship Formula One race back in the day when such a thing was possible. It'll be, I think, 41 laps of the track, which hasn't really changed at all since the 50s and earlier when it was built. And of course that we still see now in the revival today. But yes, once it all loads up, we'll have a look at the setup and talk a little bit about what we've got in store. So, this setup. So what do we need to think about in our race today? First thing, the tyres, we need to watch out for them. They'll melt if we push it too much because, well, 1958 tyre technology hasn't come along very well. Likewise with the engine, push it too hard, it will blow up even in a shorter race like this. A big one, the brakes do nothing. Nothing, I say. The Maserati that we're driving is still on drum brakes, so after about 1.5 laps, they're utterly cooked, and yet we're relying more on engine braking than we are on the actual brakes to slow down. Track itself, it's quite an old version of Goodwood. Nothing wrong with that, but it does mean that some of the corners are a little bit of a strange shape if you're used to the more modern LiDAR scanned version that's out there, particularly for Assetto Corsa, that many of us are more familiar with these days. And we need to watch out in the traffic because there's a lot of cars on a very small track, and they all make the lap times in different ways. Some are quick down the straight, some are quick through the corners, some are somewhere in the middle. And there's a couple of very narrow sections where we're all coming together, particularly at the end of the lap into Woodcote and into the chicane. So it could be exciting. Anyway, I thought I'd start the stream a bit earlier this week because I figured we'd all want to see qualifying because these cars look spectacular going round. I thought we'd enjoy a bit of that as well as the race itself. Thank you, Barry Lynn. Good evening to you. Well, let's see. While we wait, let's have a look at the look through the field if I can get a good camera angle going. So, we'll have a look through where everyone's driving tonight then before we go out for qualifying. So here's Richard Coxon. He's driving the Lotus. I believe this is the 16. This was their first Formula One car. It, as originally built, didn't do very well because the gearbox was terrible, but it was improved in later time. We have K.O. McKeels. That's, I believe he is. Yep, he's driving one of the Coopers, one of the rear-engined cars. I think there'll definitely be one one to watch. That's the car you want around here. John Team in one of the Ferraris, very powerful down the straights, and but not so good through the corners because, like the Maserati, its brakes do nothing. Anders Nilsson, he's in a more modern Maserati 250F. Grant Riddell in one of the Van Walls, probably the car to beat of 1958. Good mix of power, then the disc brakes make it quite potential in Grant's hands. I think that'll be a car to watch. Richard Wilkes in another Maserati. Ray Riddell in another Lotus. Matthew Sibignoni in, I believe that's the American Maserati. Jules Bouchard in the very interesting Connaught. That may or may not look like a shoe. Me in Maserati 250F, as driven by Maria Teresa De Filippis. I'll talk more about her later on, but those who know me will know exactly why I'm driving this particular car tonight. Bruno Chacon, oops. Another Cooper having a bit of a moment through St Mary's, very easily done. David Saber rounding out the three Lotuses. Michael Drexler in another Van Wall. David Watman in another one of the Maseratis. Filippo Marazzi in a Cooper. Simon Watman in, I think that's the BRM. That's a bit of a lump of a car. Robin de Vos in a Ferrari. Nicholas Kirsten in a Van Wall. And Giovanni Centorami in a Ferrari. I think that's everyone who's on the server just now. Yes, I thought we'd have a little look through. So, let's we'll head out onto the track then. Set some times and have a look at the track. One issue with this version of the track map is bugged on this one, so I can't use it, which is going to be make finding space on the track just that little bit harder. I think I've come out just in front of the field, so that was good. Go easy on our outlap. Try and get some heat in the tyres. Right, so we're up to start our first lap. Up towards the chicane, and we'll be on it. So here we go. Come out of the chicane. Try and get the power down as quickly as we can up towards the line. Cross the line here, we dive down into turn one, which I can't remember the name of right now. Try to get on the power as early as possible and four-wheel drift the car through the corner. Down this short straight. We change up to 5th just before we come into Ford Water. Try and keep the car over to the right hand side of the track. And up towards the fearsome St Mary's. This is where Sterling Moss had his big accident in 62. It's a two-parter. We keep going 4th gear and down to 3rd for the left. Very easy to run out wide on the exit here and have all sorts of horrible things happen to you. Up towards 11th, we brake early, brakes do nothing. Now staying in 3rd gear, double right-hander to the outside, back to the inside, on the power all the way, drifting the car through onto the back straight, which isn't straight because there's this kink in it. Up to 5th. At the little zigzag, hit the brakes hard, down 4th, down to 3rd, into Woodcut. The corner tightens up. Very easy to run wide on the exit there. At the 50, brake down into 2nd, thread the car through the concrete, through the chicane, all the way to the exit curb, back to the line. It's one of those tracks, Goodwood, it looks simple, but it really isn't. See how little I actually need to move the wheel once the car starts sliding. These 50s Grand Prix cars are absolutely lovely to drive. Particularly these ones. This is the ISO tweaked version of the wonderful 58 mod for Automobilista. And I'd say they drive even better because of it. But you can see, if you look down to the bottom right of the screen there, you'll see that's a sea of orange and purple telling me that the tyres and the brakes are already getting very, very hot. This was a time when a Grand Prix car was not something you pushed hard. You had to work with it and pace yourself over the course of a race. And a Grand Prix in the 50s was a lot longer than it is nowadays. Often they would be around 3 hours or longer. Some of them over 500 kilometres. And all that in a car with no power steering and no seat belts even. That was doing all it could to beat you up and hurl you out of it the entire time. Just another time. Oh! See how easy it is? You don't pay attention, these cars will bite you. I just didn't get on the brakes early enough, and in this car that's an absolute killer. little bit hot into St Mary's there, but made it work. It's like driving a dirt sprint car, this. It's all done on the throttle. Very little of the turning of the car is actually done with the steering. It's just a little flick it in there. You don't want to fight it. You want to work with the car, not against it. Oh, I've just remembered the name of that turn one, it's Madgwick, of course. That was good through there. Car's absolutely got enough power and enough torque to carry third gear through that chicane. And there's probably an argument that it's faster to do so, but you need to kick it down to second gear to stop the bloody thing at that point. Because the brakes are cooked, the tyres are cooked, and it doesn't want to stop. It's relatively very heavy for its brakes and its tyres, this car. Indeed, as most of them are. I think that's just what makes driving and racing them all the more fun, that they are imperfect. All the way to the outside, very nearly caught the grass, and that would have been quite scary if I'd have done that. See that left rear tyre's starting to get a little hot now. The car's getting a bit more skatey. There's not much weight over that rear axle now to keep the tyres on the ground. Well, we'll bring it in then and have a look at the lap charts and see what everyone else is up to, eh? Right, well. So it's John Team at the top of the lead at the timesheets at the moment with 27 minutes left of the session to go. In that Ferrari, Grant Riddell is not far behind him on the 1:27.0. That's a fast time around here. It's looking very exciting at the top. Giovanni also needs that 2 tenths off a Grant, with Anders Nilsson in a Maserati on a 1:27.6, and Coxon in a Lotus on a 1:28.1. So yeah, only just over a second covering the top 5, and quite a few other potentially very good drivers not far behind as well. As you can see, there's a few different flavours of Maserati 250F. It's a very ubiquitous car at the time. I think it debuted in either 53 or 54, and it was still going in 1958 and onwards. It would go on to kickstart historic racing as we know it today. A few years later on from this. But my car, this one here, it's a few years old at this point in 58, and it's a little bit long in the tooth compared to some of its more up-to-date cousins, but we'll do what we can with it. 1:31.2 is about as good as I've been getting out of her so far this week, which is nice. But as I said, I wanted to cover qualifying just because these cars look so good going around the track. So, in the chat, if there is anyone you want to have a look at, do let me know. This is Giovanni Centorami coming to start a lap. Crosses the line now, and he's on it. You see him heading towards Madgwick. Very big slide into Madgwick. All the way out to the curb, back to the second apex, and onto the straight, building up the speed all the way down there. Up into 4th gear. Big slide through Ford Water as well. Carries a huge amount of speed towards St Mary's. There he is, he's on the brakes now, down to 3rd gear. Down to 2nd for the left-hander at St Mary's. He's looking quick. That's 1/100th up from pole at the moment, and half a second up on his personal best. Big lock up into Lavant. This is where the Ferrari really has its advantage with that power. It's by far and away the best engine on the grid. Accelerates down the back straight, through the kink, up to 135, 40 miles an hour. As he gets on the brakes at the kink, Woodcut locks up the rear of the car. Big slide in the Woodcut. And again, carries the slide all the way through. Threads it through the chicane. On the power. What's it going to be? It's not quite there, but that's a very good lap. 126.8, just 2/100ths of a second off of pole position. Excellent stuff. It looks like, yep, he's backed off. Needs to cool the car down after a big push like that. Now, here's Grant Riddell. Is he going to be able to respond to that? So he looks like he's going a bit easy, so he's either on an in lap or an out lap. He may be trying to get some heat in the tyres. Yes, so this could be his response. Oh, runs a bit wide there. That'll compromise his... Oh, lovely big slide from Wilkes coming out of the chicane there. Here comes Grant Riddell across the line. Throws the car into Madgwick. Not as big as of a slide as Giovanni did. He carries that speed onto the straight. And he's up. Nearly 2/10 up on this lap so far. Huge slide through Ford Water as he comes up towards St Mary's. It's on the brakes. The van will on disc brakes, so it's very good on the brakes, this car. Down to third gear as he goes into St Mary's. Oh, but he runs wide. He's wide. And that's going to be very disappointing for him. He was looking very quick for that first part of the lap at least. But here's Anders Nilsson looking to finish a lap then. Tucked up behind the Lotus. Looks like he may be on a quick lap. Slides the car nicely through the chicane. Nope, he comes into the pits. Right, this is Richard Coxon driving Graham's Hill's Lotus. He's just started a lap. Lotus is a very interesting car in this field. It's quite down on power, but it's very light and it's incredibly good on its brakes. Discs all round and the whole car and driver weighing less than half a tonne. So you can brake incredibly late in this car. Oh, Coxon's run wide and ruined that lap as well. Starting to fear I may be cursing some of these folks. Here's Mr. Sideways then, Kay McKeel's towards the end of a lap. Let's see if he's going to start a flyer. I've no doubt if he does it'll be spectacular. Comes out of the chicane, accelerates towards the line, and yes, he's starting a lap. Interestingly, the Cooper's still on drum brakes at this point, I believe, or... No, those are discs, I apologise, but they're not as good as the disc brakes in the other cars. There's a weakness this car does have. But it is very nicely balanced with the engine at the back. Look at this, he's up on pole at the moment through sector 1. Nicely slides the car into St Mary's. Yes, it's stopped, doesn't run wide, but he's lost a bit of time there. Looks a little bit tentative going into the first part of St Mary's. Go through 11. Nice big slide as he comes through the first part. Into the second part, keeps it going. Not got the most power of the engine in this car, it's only a 2.2 litre. But it's able to put its power down very well with the engine being at the back. Oh, but he's coming a bit hot. Huge slide, and he catches it. Excellent stuff. Through the chicane. Don't think this is going to be the quickest of laps, but it's certainly been spectacular. That's still pretty good. 1:27.9, good for 5th so far. A nice big drift into Madgwick. And John Ting's back on track. He's gone fastest while I've not been paying attention. 1:26.3 now. Looks like Grant's on a low lap. That's either an out lap or an in lap, not sure. This is Richard Wilkes coming across the starter lap. Last one was quite slow, so this was probably on a cool down. Into Madgwick, looking nice and tidy so far. A wiggle of the hips as he comes through the middle of the corner. Accelerates up towards Fordwater. Flings the car in. Beautiful four-wheel drift all the way through. The brakes down to third he goes into St Mary's. And all the way to second for the second part. This is one of the later versions of the Maserati, so he's able to run probably more optimum gear ratios than what you'll see in my car when we go out again. Slides it through 11 onto the back straight. Back towards the pink foot to a forward kit. On the brakes now. Looking very tidy so far. This could be a good lap. Reds it through the chicane. Oh, runs wide on the exit. Keeps the power on. Nope, no improvement there. I think that moment in the chicane will have cost him. Here's Robin DeVos in one of the Ferraris. He's coming onto the back straight with Cooper just in front of him. Just see the power that Ferrari's got. Will they both lock up? That's a big dive. Oh! They both have a little moment. Fortunately, they both keep it out of the wall, but they could have gotten very clinchy there. This is David Saber in another one of the Lotuses. Currently 9th at the moment on a 1:29.0. Interesting, this car does have the same engine as the Cooper does, but Colin Chapman hadn't quite gotten into his stride as the engineering genius he'd become known as, and it struggles to breathe properly in this car, so it's quite down on power, even compared to the same engine in the Coopers. There's a good 20-30 horsepower to it. But as I said earlier, what it does lose in power, it makes up for in lightweight. Also, a little fun fact about this car: it was one of the first cars to ever be fitted with a sequential gearbox. Though this was a long way removed from the sequential boxes that would appear in the late 80s that we all think of today. This was more like something out of a motorcycle than one of those. And it was horrendously unreliable. That was a very big thing back in the day for performance in these cars was the gearboxes, and a lot of people tried a lot of things. I believe some of these cars in real life would have even had pre-selector gearboxes. Yeah, certainly dates them. And they were generally hated by everyone who drove them. Here we see Sabre coming down the back straight. Look, you can see just how late he's able to get on the brakes in that car. Just carries that speed through the corner. Across the line, it's an improvement, but he doesn't make any places up, it seems. So, 12 minutes to go in the session. John Team's still at front on that 126.3. Riddell's in the pits at the moment, so he's not going to be improving for the time being. Giovanni also in the pits on a 126.8. Anders Nilsson's in 4th, 127.4. And Kevin McKeels rounds out the top 5 in the Cooper on a 127.9. It's opened up a little bit at the top, but it's still very close. I've just noticed where I am, so I think I should go out and try and improve on that. Another interesting little factoid I'll bring up just now while we're here. This entry here of Jules Bouchard in the Connaught. Yes, it's that Bernie Eccleston. He did it. He was a team owner back in the 50s. Right. Let's see what I can do. Just have to be a bit creative and push a bit harder. going to start at the back. It's not going to be for lack of trying. I'm not sure going down in the second gear is what I want to be doing there. Ah, there we go, good exit out the chicane. Right, try and cool these tyres down a bit. We'll go again. I think I can probably find another 3 or 4 attempts easily, so oops. Right, here goes. Ooh. Don't want to be doing that. We'll have to try again. Come on, I can do better than that. Better run through Woodcut and I'll gain a couple of temps. There we go. Come on. Yes, into the 129s. This poor little old car, I'll take that. We're not done yet. This is it. Last one, do or die. Oh no, it was die, I suppose. That's a shame. I would have been interested to see what that would have been. Never mind, these things happen. Why everyone's leaving. Should need to do that, there's no qualifying version of these cars. I see a comment asking what the pre-selector gearbox is. Well, what it was common on British cars in the 50s. It's sort of like it's kind of a halfway between a conventional H-pattern gearbox and an automatic. So the way it works, I understand, is that you'll put it in, you'll select the gear using a conventional gear stick, and then instead of a clutch pedal, you've got a pedal which you kick to actually change the gear. Hence why it's called pre-selector. At least I think that's how it works. I know folks around here probably know better than I do how to use a pre-selector gearbox, but it was used in quite a lot of things, not just in cars. It made its way into quite a few British military vehicles at the time as well, I do know. Right, well, while the warm-up and the briefing's going on, I'm just going to step away for a minute or two, and I'll be back very shortly. Hey, and we're back. And as Windy there in the chat's pointed out, yes, their pre-selector gearboxes are around very recently then. Um, in the trucks, that would have been in the late 90s at least, so I'm not sure if they're still in use, but probably are. So, while the briefing's going on and not much is happening, let's talk a little bit about this particular car and why I think it's very interesting. If I can find a suitable camera for it. Yeah, it's fighting me. This'll do. So, this particular car, Maserati 250F, driven by a very interesting driver. That'll be Maria Teresa de Filippis. She was the first female driver to ever enter a Grand Prix back in the 1950s, which is impressive as a start. But, as I said earlier, these cars are horrendously physical to drive, which makes this whole argument that I've seen on the internet in the last week or so about physicality in Grand Prix racing utterly ridiculous. Yeah, she raced in she entered three Grand Grand Prix, qualified for 2 of them, and only just missed out on the other one, which was Monaco, which had a smaller grid anyway. And then there were some political issues in France over a rather silly ban on women racing drivers at the time. But yes, I picked this particular car because it does have some special meaning to me, but I'll not go into that today. But I think most folks around here probably know what that is. Yes, the 250F started racing in the early 50s and was still going in contemporary Grand Prix all the way into 1960, when the rear engine revolution finally made it obsolete. However, because there was a lot of them around and there was quite an appetite to race them, along with the parts supply and all that, they pretty much, many of them went straight from being contemporary Grand Prix cars straight into what would become modern day historic racing as we know it today. Essentially, almost like we've seen in recent years with the Endurance Legends Championships and Super Touring cars in historic racing, and us all being amazed at them being called historic. That's pretty much what happened with these cars, and a lot of them have been raced in some form or another pretty much since the 50s all the way through to the present day. We still see a lot of these cars and their contemporaries going now, especially at Goodwood of all places for the revivals every year. So yeah, that's a little history lesson on the car. I suppose we'll go have a watch of the warm-up as well before the start of the race. Nice little pack here. I suppose in some ways it is a little bit of a shame that I did insist on driving in the race as well, as this would be quite a good one to TV mode. But then, who knows, maybe I'll blow the engine in the first couple of laps. We will get to watch the race properly anyway. We'll see. See the two Lotuses together here. That's Sabre and Coxon. Oops. Just in formation through the chicane there, lovely stuff. And Sabre's run off a bit there. Here's Anders up behind one of the van walls coming out of the chicane. Look at the power that van wall's got down the straight. Drove away from him. That was Grant. Ooh, look at that. Huge slide from the Ferrari. Anders having a little look on the inside of Grant there. The disc brakes on that van were going to make it very hard to get past. Almost negates any power advantage that it may give away, but it doesn't give away much in the way of power to that van wall. It's a very quick car. Should be. That was the car that won the Constructors' Championship that year. Ooh, very wide into Woodcut. Chicane again. Well, we better start thinking about making sure the car's ready. I'm not sure. I think it could be quite tight at the front. I don't think Grant's on pole. I think John Team's in front of him in the Ferrari. So it could be quite the good race up there. I'm sure we'll see them coming through at some point. Right, so the setups. Not a lot we can actually do, but there we are. So that's our race fuel. Make sure we've got the race set of tyres on, which we have. And just to show you, not much I can do with suspension in these cars, just as they were back in the day. Basically, if you wanted to change the setup of the car, you'd pretty much have to build a new one. So all we've got to play with are the tyre pressures and an anti-roll bar at the front. Not a lot, really. In game chat there, Matthew makes quite the point. It's a relatively short race for these cars at the time, but the attrition could still be quite high. And switch the auto start on now. There's no formation lap either, that hasn't been invented yet. So we're flying straight into turn 1 on cold brakes and cold tyres. I'm sure that'll be fine. So we've got 2 Lotuses in front of us. Connaught on a van all behind us. Got BRM as well. Can't see anyone to my left so far. Oh, there we are. And a Cooper. I would say strap in, this is going to be interesting, but we've got no seatbelts, so I suppose just hold on. Here we go. Being very cautious at the start, long race, and the brakes do nothing. I'm going to have to give him that. I can't live with that Cooper on the straight. Just puts its power down so much more effectively. Brakes do nothing. I'm going to say that a lot, I think. I want to brake later, but I can't. Well, here comes a van walk. I can go a long way round, but there's just nothing I can do. He's got a weight and a power advantage on me. I don't know what that was. I do hope that hasn't mangled the engine too much. Might be able to hold a BRM off. He's got a bit more power, but he's fairly similar to me in terms of weight. Oh, no. He got the run, nothing I can do again. Oop, Lotus spinning up ahead. Oh no! That's unfortunate for KO. Attrition's already starting to kick in. There goes the Connaught shoe. Oops. Didn't mean to nudge Gabriel there. I think we all know why that happened. I'm not going to say it again. I don't want to be too cliche. Weird's going on the gear selection, by the way. Wilkes has been devious and figured out a way to model gearbox reliability as well. Or it could be my little shifter needs a clean. I think with a bit of daring I might be able to catch stir. Van spinning in front. Ooh. Yeah, something weird's going on with my gear selector, unfortunately. Looks like it's double selecting first. Right, well, it's going to do that. Switching to sequential mode. A little bit inauthentic, I know, but I'm not having my race ruined because of a faulty equipment like that. It's odd as it only seems to have done that lately with this car. It works. It was working fine earlier on a different one. But that's for me to figure out later this week. I cannot begin to express how wrong it feels to be driving this car in paddle shift mode, but never mind. Better that than launching the engine for silly reasons. Soaring away at the wheel there. Love it. Oh. Steering's a bit bent, but I think I can manage. No, wait, we may have a puncture. Yep, we've got a puncture. giving up. It was my own fault, I just outbraked myself. Got distracted. Never give up. With the pit speed limit. Right, back in there. Oh yep, actually the steering feels straight, we're alright. Well, it won't be if you keep doing that, come on. And I've gone back to using the gear stick, by the way, just because it feels more natural. I'm going to take the risk that the engine may pop. Right, I suppose we just see if we can run down any of the cars in front of us. It looks like that cost us a spat a lap then. That was Chacon going past us. That's why you never give up. There's always the chance the people ahead will drop out. Oh, speaking of dropping out, it happened. Oh well. That was... it looked like it double shifted there, which is a shame. That may be the end of my race, but it's not the end of the race. So, we're going into TV mode then. So, how's it all going? So, Centre Army's in the lead, Grant Riddle second, Anders Nilsson in third. Looks like there's a few close battles going on here. Centre Army's got a bit of a lead as to the halfway point. Well, let's go through the field then. So, Centre Army's leading currently on lap 20. Just coming up to put a lap on Sibignoni there as he comes onto the back straight. Grant Riddle is second, just about 4 seconds behind in the Van Wall. In third place is Anders Nilsson, and just behind him is Richard Coxon in fourth. Fifth place is Rob DeVos. Sixth is Richard Wilkes. Seventh, David Saber. Eighth is Nicholas Kirsten in another Van Wall. Roadall 9th, Bruno Chacon 10th, Gabriel Stir 11th, David Watman 12th, Filippo Marazzi, Grant Riddle's off there, coming out of Woodcut, Filippo Marazzi in 13th, Michelle Drexler facing the wrong way on the back straight. I'm not sure what's happened there. Luciano Rocha is 15th. Matthew Sibignoni is 16th, and it would appear he is the last car running. There was a dent in the side of that Maserati. Oh, look at this! Grant Riddle's been held up, and now Anders Nilsson's right up behind him, just less than half a second. Looks like this is the battle on track at the moment. Richard Coxon's in there as well in the Lotus. Three very different cars, and they're all together towards the sharp end of the field. This is great news for Centre Army. He's now got 11 seconds over Grant Riddle. Something must have happened. Didn't see what it was. As these three come onto the back straight now. The Lotus drops back a little bit going down the straight, out the power race, but Coxon's able to close that back up again under the brakes. Indeed he is. Look at the commitment through the chicane from Riddle there. All of them, all three of them, pushing very hard. Looks like Grant's managed to squeeze a little bit of a gap again. He's back up to over a second ahead of Nilsson. He's got Coxon right behind him. again, we see on the longer straights on this track just how that Maserati's able to ease away. Then we get to the corners and that Lotus is right back with him again. Look at this. Big slide from the Lotus. That's one car you really want to avoid doing that. Oh, and a big lock-up for Nilsson as well into Lavin. There's Simeoni in there. Another Maserati. Manages to stay out of the way. They're coming down the back straight. Looks like Nilsson was just starting to reel in that van wall. But again, drum brakes just do not work as well. I think what he lacks in technology, Anders, is definitely trying to make up for with commitment. Look at this. Coxon's got a good exit out of the chicane. But once they get into the higher rev ranges, there's just nothing that little Lotus has for these bigger cars. It's lap 23 of 42 now. It's a race order. Looks like, yes, still looks like this is the battle on track at the moment. Coxon runs wide out of St Mary's. He's trying very hard. He has to in that car. That gives Nilsson a small bit of breathing room. Can he use this as his opportunity to attack Riddle and take second place? We'll find out shortly. They come down the back straight, up towards Woodcote. And is this right with Riddle as they brake? But the van wall's better on the disc brakes and Grant's able to ease away. And he's going to have to get very creative. He's going to find a way past here. Going to Madrick again, start of lap 24. Giovanni Centorami still leads this race in the Ferrari. He's about 12 seconds clear of Grant Riddle in second place. And there's Nilsson here in third. There we are. Timing tower up. And yes, this still appears to be the battle on track at the moment. Though looking back down the line at the moment, we appear to have Ray Riddle's just ahead of Bruno Chacon now in the Cooper. Only a second or so between the two of them. That could get interesting, we'll keep an eye on that. But meanwhile, back at the front. Riddle's eased out just a little bit of a gap from that last lap. Maybe Anders asked just a bit too much more of that Maserati and he's had to back off to cool it down a little bit. Behind the three of them is Coxon. He'll just be waiting for his moment. Oh, something's happened to Centorami. He's lost a lot of time. The gap's suddenly come down from 12 seconds to 2 seconds. He's stuck behind David Watman in the Maserati. Has he been off, or has he just lost that much time behind the back marker? It's hard to tell. But this suddenly just got even more interesting. So Riddle now only 1.3 seconds behind Centre Army in first. Tries to find his way past Watman. He's done it. And so the race is back on. Nilsson looks like he's lost another second on that last lap. And he's still going to get past the back marker. Coxon's still there as well. But we now have a race for the lead. Yes, look at that. The last lap was 3 seconds off his best. But he must have made a mistake somewhere because he didn't lose 3 seconds just in traffic there. Grant using all of the road in that van wall, trying to maximise everything he's got. Centre Army does the same, flings the car into St Mary's. Oh, and Riddle's gone wide. Riddle went wide into St Mary's. They're pushing very hard now. Lap 26, there's not that much longer left to go. More than halfway now. There's Coxon getting past the back marker. So just over a second between the two leaders. It's Centre Army from Grant Riddle and Anders Nilsson in third. Locks a brake going into Woodcut. Big slide on the exit. And Grant Riddle's gone off! Grant Riddle's gone off the road. I can't quite get the replay working, but Riddle has an off at Woodcut and he's lost 2 places. So that's a big break for Centre Army there. So will Anders Nilsson be able to make an attack now? Will Riddle be able to recover? I didn't see if he hit anything. Oh, and Richard Wilkes has retired. It's unfortunate. Reason given is an engine failure. We're going to be seeing a few more of those, I fear. And Riddle spun again! Oh no! Terrible luck for Riddle. I'm going to see quickly if I can do get place get up for us. I don't think there is. Nope. Fine. Back to the race then. So Robin de Vos now through Riddle's misfortunes up to 4th. So, well, after all that excitement, let's recap. So Giovanni Centre Army still leads in first. Well done, Dave. Leads in first. Excellent stuff. Yes, Giovanni Centre Army leads. 4 seconds ahead of Anders Nilsson in second in the Maserati. Third is Richard Coxon, still in the Lotus. A very good effort in that little car. Fourth now is Robin de Vos in the second Ferrari. Fifth is Grant Riddle after a run of bad luck for a few laps there. Oh, and there's Dretcher spinning in the chicane. So I was about to say, that's David Sabre in 6th place now in the Lotus. He's doing very well, moving up the field. Nicholas Kirsten in the Vanwall in 7th. 8th now is Ray Riddle in the last of the Lotuses. Gabriel Stur in 9th place in the BRM. Bruno Chacon in 10th in the Cooper. David Watman running in 11th. Filippo Moratti 12th. Luciano Rocha in the Ferrari in 13th. Richard Brooks out in 14th. Your retirements from the race so far then. So Richard Wilkes, Michael Bechler, Matthew Simeone, Simon Watman, me, John Team, Bouchard, Jay McKeels, and Francisco Amaral. It's still Centrami leading at the head of the field now, with a 4-second gap over Anders Nilsson. He's coming up on some traffic. We saw earlier he had a bit of trouble in the traffic. Will Anders Nilsson be able to use that as his opportunity to close the gap down? He already may have gotten a bit bulked behind Chicon there. He has. It looks like he lost the second to Nilsson there. Comes onto the back straight. That'll depend where Nilsson catches Chicon as to whether it has any effect on him. He may Chicon's sticking with Centrami actually. This is the point where the tyres are getting very hot, very melty, and the cars get harder and harder to drive as the balance changes. As you see Centrami running a bit wide there. He's lost at least a second to Nilsson on that lap, possibly more. Another 1:29. He's losing a lot of time now from his personal best of a 1:26.7. Just drop back a little bit because it looks like we may have a bit of a race developing down the order. Nope, Nicholas Kirsten and Sabre are still a second and a half apart, so we'll keep an eye on the lead for now. As Chicon goes off at St Mary's, that clears the way for Anders Nilsson. This could be his moment to attack, as I believe there's still another back marker up the road in front of Centrami. Indeed there is. It's Gabriel Sturr in the BRM. Only just 2 seconds between the two of them. Still back there is Richard Coxon. He's just waiting for his opportunity. It's lap 30 now, 12 laps to go. Centrami goes in very deep there. The Ferrari has a lot of power, but it's not the best handling car in this race, not by a long way. So he gets a good exit out of the chicane there and pulls a few temps on Nilsson. That's a much better lap from Centrami. But Nilsson's just done his best lap of the race, so it's not over yet. Come through Ford Water up towards St Mary's. Centrami's now closed in on Gabriel Sturr into St Mary's. Will he get delayed here again? Does seem to have had a bit of trouble with the traffic in this race so far. It's cost him a fair bit of time. Not easy to overtake around this Goodwood circuit. So that's right, he pulls out, tries to use all the power that Ferrari's got. Alongside Sturr as they come to the braking zone, gets ahead. That could be very important. Nice and tidy through Woodcote this time. Through the chicane, onto the start-finish straight. Sturr runs wide. That'll give Anders Nilsson the run, so... Oh! Oh no! Anders Nilsson's engine's let go! Oh, that's very unfortunate for him, but that's his charge over. Very unlucky for the Swedish driver there. So that means we now have a Ferrari 1-2 at the front of this race. Giovanni Centrami leads from Robin de Vos, who's come from the back of the field to be running second with 10 laps to go. An excellent performance from him there. Richard Coxon's up to third. And Grant Riddle inherits fourth. Looks like he's back right off. The last lap was quite slow. He may have damaged the car in some of those offs that he had. Nicholas Kirsten and David Sabre are together now, fighting for 6th. Kirsten had a big moment there. I think that was through Woodcote. Now Sabre's all over the back of him in that Lotus. There's the power of the Vanwell coming in. Pulls away from Sabre in the Lotus. Will Sabre be able to counter-attack? His car's very good on the brakes and very quick through the corners. And look at that! Just in the first part of Magic, he's right back behind that Vanwell. Look at the size difference between these two cars. Reminiscent of the Mighty Minis versus the aircraft carriers of the British touring cars in the 60s, except with Grand Prix cars. Sabre all over the back of Kirsten. This looks like this is the action on track at the moment. Of course, this is for 5th place now. Oh, and Sabre spins in 11th. Excellent recovery though, he keeps it going. He's only lost a few seconds there, he may be able to make that back up. Oh, exciting few laps. So let's see, the race now stands. So lap 33, Giovanni Centorami leading. He's got a gap of 10 seconds to Robin De Vos in the 2nd Ferrari. 3rd place, it's Richard Coxon in the Lotus. 10 seconds ahead, 10 seconds behind. Grant Riddle now 4th in the Lotus. In the Vanwell. He's had a difficult run, and I think his car may not be 100%. It's quite probably damaged. Nicholas Kirsten in 5th in the 2nd Vanwell. He's pulled and Sabre's off again in 6th place. It's very easy. You go off once, you break your rhythm, you heat the tyres up. It's so easy to keep doing it. Gabriel Sturr 7th. Ray Riddle in 8th in the last of the Lotuses. Dirt on the tyre suggests he's had an adventure somewhere. Bruno Chicon 9th. And David Watman 10th. 11th is Filippo Marazzi in the Cooper. And Luciano Rocha looks like the last car running now in 12th. It looks like everyone's spread out a little bit for now. As we've seen so far in this race, anything can happen. So here's Centorami, comes into Woodcote. So he's possibly backed it off slightly now that he's got a bit of a cushion again. The more hard charging cars behind him have dropped back. Well, speaking of hard charging, we can't mention that and not mention Robin De Vos, who's driven an excellent race, almost unseen by most of us. He's up to 18. He's made up 18 places so far in this race. Fantastic effort. Richard Coxon still plowing away in 3rd place. But I don't think there's much he'll be able to do now unless something goes wrong up ahead. Potentially, if Grant Riddle's able to the Vanwell together, he may be able to close that down, but he's running out of time. Only 8 laps or so to go. It's a wonderful camera angle, as you see just how much the car moves around on the track. Grant pitches it into St Mary's. Changes direction through the left-hander. Up towards the front. And the gap's come down to Coxon. That may have just been down the straight, but this race is definitely not over yet. Grant comes down the back straight another time. Gap's now down to 7 seconds possible. Oh, and Coxon's off at Woodcut. Oh no! Struggling to get out of the gravel. Grant goes through and takes that third place away. I did say that this race wasn't over, and it certainly seems to be the case. I'm sure most of these drivers will be wishing that I'd stop talking. It seems that as soon as I mention someone, they go off. Unlike Jason, I do believe in the commentator's curse. Owen Riddell's slowing? Is he? Has he had a problem, or is he allowing Coxon through? Looked like he may have allowed Coxon through, or he had a problem. I'm not sure. But either way, it's now Coxon and Riddell for third place on the track. Coxon using everything that car's got, all the way to the outside. Riddell looking, not this time. He's not close enough. He won't be able to outbrake the Lotus. He'll have to come up with another way. Oh, something's happened. Coxon's had another moment, it seems. He's dropped back to fourth. They're all struggling, it seems. What? Bud the Cat's chiming in with his race analysis, but it boils down to meow, so I'm not sure what he means by that. Either that or he's just stood there wondering, why the hell are you talking to yourself, human? Oh. Well, lap 37 now. Centre Army still leads by about 8 seconds from DeVos. That has come down slightly. This may not be over for the win either. Although DeVos, if he's going to make a move, he's going to have to do it quickly. Centre Army just needs to keep going and not make any more mistakes. And the win will be his. I shouldn't have said that, should I? There you see DeVos just coming out of the chicane, so there's your gap. 8 seconds. As DeVos comes through Fordwater up towards St Mary's again. Pushing 140 miles an hour by the time he gets to St Mary's on the brakes. Slides through the right-hander and the left. And the gap comes down just a little bit more. Little by little, but it's running out of time. This is lap 38 of 42. Centre Army knows that he just needs to not make any more mistakes, and this is his. But that's easier said than done. Centre Army lead comes through the chicane, comes towards the line, starting lap 39 now. Still 8 seconds is the gap. It's holding fairly stable now. 127.7 was his last lap. Here's DeVos at 127.3. The best laps are both very similar at 126.7s. And Riddell's still struggling onwards. He's losing time lap after lap to the two cars in front. That car is definitely not happy as he comes through the chicane again. And we may have a battle for fourth, as Kirsten's now closed within just over 2 seconds of Coxon for fourth. Kirsten's looks like he's kept himself out of trouble, so he may have the car advantage over Coxon here if he's able to catch him. Kirsten, we have to say, he's done an excellent job in this race as well. Moved up 17 places since the start. Another excellent drive from the back. It's just 1.5 seconds between him and Coxon now. And this is lap 39. They come through Fordwater up towards St Mary's. You can see how much that Vanwall pulls on the Lotus on the straight. Nearly a second he closed the gap by. I'm not sure Coxon will be able to hold him off. The car doesn't look particularly happy. Oh, and David Saber's retired, unfortunately. Not sure what's happened to him, but we'll keep an eye on these two. As we said at the start of the evening, attrition was going to be a big thing. And look at that, just powers past. Oh, and look at the state of that Lotus. He's definitely... That car is crabbing down the straight. No wonder he was struggling. Look at that. Oh, let's see what... yep, engine failure for Sabre, that's unfortunate. So, Centre Army leads, but the gap's down to 6 seconds. Is that because he's made a mistake, or has he just backed off? He's got the gap, he can afford to back off a little bit. Crosses the line again, lap 41, just 2 laps to go in this race. No, Centre Army hasn't backed off. That was a 1:27.4. That's why the gap's come down. Robin DeVos has got is going for it. That was a 1:26.8. Nearly his fastest lap of the race so far. He's going to have to do something incredible to close the 6 seconds in 2 laps, but it certainly doesn't look like it's going to be for lack of trying from DeVos here. Comes into St Mary's, big slide, lifts the front wheel, changes direction for the left-hander. He comes through Lavant to the back straight. Gap's still holding at around 6 seconds. Army coming towards Woodcote, and here comes DeVos. Through the chicane. Start the final lap. This is Centre Army. The gap is still 6 seconds. Just needs to bring it home now. Nothing spectacular, nothing foolish. And say a prayer to the car gods that everything holds together. Uses all the track, he hasn't backed off that much. Up towards St Mary's for the last time. Beautiful four-wheel drift through St Mary's. Down to second, changes direction. Uses all of the road. Towards 11, back down to second gear. Well, he's eased just a little bit. Or DeVos has gone all out. The gap's only 5 seconds now, but it's too late for DeVos over here. Just half a lap to go as they come onto the back straight up towards Kink and then into Woodcote. Centre Army on the brakes up towards Woodcote. Down to third gear. The first part, down to second gear for the second apex. Up towards the chicane. He's almost home. into the chicane for the last time. Giovanni Sensorami is going to come through the chicane. He's going to win the Glover Trophy and take all the points for the Lucas Vidra Trophy. A spectacular drive. Well done to him. Pitches the car into a half spin to the finish in celebration. Robin de Vos, an excellent drive to second place in the second Ferrari. 18 positions. That's a spectacular effort. Well done to him. Grant Riddell's going to come home third. Or is he? Comes down the back straight. In towards Woodcote now. He's had a tough race. He'll be ruining what could have been. He was fighting for the win on several occasions, but looked like either just one or two mistakes cost him. But still a very respectable finish. Third place. Here he goes. Crosses the line. Oh, and the engine lets go. Whether that was clutched it or not, I'm not sure. But the engine lets go just as he crosses the line. Nicholas Gerson, another excellent drive in the Van Wall. 18 places made, finishes 4. Very well done to him. Fifth place will be Richard Coxon. He had a tough race in the back end of that Lotus, showing the battle scars and the crabbing across the line. He's done very well to drag that car home. Gabriel Sturr will be 6th. Ray Riddell will be 7th. Bruno Chacon 8th in the Cooper. David Watman finishes 9th. Filippo Marazzi will be 10th. Luciano Rocha will be your last finisher in 11th in the Ferrari. And there you see your results there. If you want to pause the video later to check that out. Well, a spectacular race for the Glover Trophy there. Unfortunately, my race didn't last as long as we would have liked, but quite happy to switch to TV mode and bring you all a rather exciting finish to it all. Well, that'll be it for tonight's action then. The rest of this week we'll probably have some more things coming up. Next Sunday will be the next round in the ISO World Endurance Championship. There'll be the 500 kilometres of Kyalami, and that's old Kyalami, which promises to be a spectacular race. Very fast and very flowing track in some very, very nice cars. So we'll look forward to that. That'll be same sort of time next Sunday. Also this week, possibly we'll be looking to do at least some of the next round of the SRM Rally Championship in the Trabant. Keep an eye out for that. That will possibly be Thursday or Friday. I haven't decided yet. And there may be one or two other rally streams will pop up on short notice as well. But thank you all for watching. Thank you again for all the nice comments and that we got going there. Very enjoyable stream tonight. So we'll look forward to the next one. Have a lovely rest of your evening and a good week to come. And I'll see you all soon, hopefully. Thank you and cheery bye. And Bud the Cat also says goodbye.